Hey fellas, doing a neck knife review today. We are going over the Schrade SCHF16. That's kind of a mouthful, so we'll just call it the F16. This is much cooler. This is a neck knife, as you can tell with the paracord lanyard here. This actually came with the knife. I didn't put that on there, so yeah, you get a nice little piece of paracord with it. I haven't really done a review in a while. It's probably been almost a month now. But it's been hunting season up here, so I haven't really had a chance to been, out in the woods, looking around, doing my thing. But yeah, I'm back. So today, we're going to talk about this little beauty. This knife is pretty stout, I'm going to say, in and of itself. It feels heavy. Right off the bat, that's initially the very first thing I noticed about this knife when I bought it, is it's heavy. I'm going to go ahead and attribute that to not being skeletonized inside these handles. So what that means is if you were to take these handle slabs off, which are G10 by the way, they're really nice G10, they're thick too. If you were to take these handle slabs off inside, a lot of knives, they cut big holes here and here. They would do that just because they want to decrease some of the weight behind the knife. And just by, I don't know, that's the hefty feel of this thing. I would have to say that if I took these slabs off, I think it would be one big chunk of steel. No holes, no nothing, because they didn't do anything for the weight on this. But, either way, I mean, you can tell right here, see, it wants to fall off the back end because it's back heavy. And to me, that tells me that it's because they didn't skeletonize it. But either way, this knife weighs in at 4.6 ounces without the sheath. And it's kind of hard to determine, just by saying that. I can say 4.6 all I want, but, it's hard to tell what that means if you're not, knife friendly, all about the whole weight and balance of the knives. Just to give you an idea, this knife, which is one of the very first video I did, is the MTech 20-30 neck knife. This knife by itself, with the sheath, is 3.2 ounces with the sheath. And that's really, light. And yeah, this is a much, much smaller knife. Let's see here, much smaller, but it's a heavy knife, and this one pretty lightweight. This one without the sheath, the Condor Mini Bush Lore, is also 3.2 ounces. So this with the sheath is 3.2. This without the sheath is 3.2, and this by itself without the sheath is 4.6. So that gives you kind of an idea. This knife is relatively close in size, if not exactly the same. I'd say it's about an inch off, maybe half inch. But yeah, this knife is much lighter, and that's kind of a big deal when you're carrying a neck knife, because you got to figure you got this thing wrapped around your neck. It's going to be pulling down on it and kind of uncomfortable to some extent. But either way, nice overall. Love this design. I love this finger choil. It's a deep finger choil. It feels really awesome in hand, and being that as it's a small knife, it still fits really well. I mean, you can see you still have room for your pinky. And I have, medium-sized hands, just average hands. But it fits really, really well in hand. Has that little pommel on the back with the lanyard hole. I don't know why you need that there if it's a neck knife, but either way, if you wanted to add some paracord to it, you could do that. It has this jimping up top, which is pretty solid because it goes all the way up to here. So 3/4 of the inch of your thumb reach has jimping on it. So you can get some good traction there for, whittling and whatever else. It is a recurve reverse Tanto style blade. I guess they also call it a drop point. This is not what I would call a drop point. I guess it's a modified drop point to some extent. It's odd. It's not like traditional drop point blades, but that's neither here nor there. Normally what that would mean is that the drop point is designed to make the tip a little bit stronger. So if you needed to pry or dig a hole in a tree or something like that, you could do that. So I haven't done that with this knife. I don't know if it would hold up to it. The steel is 9CR18 MOV, so it's a little bit higher quality than your traditional other knives made in China. They're 8CR13 MOV, and that's also a lot to say. But either way, it's got good slicing power. It is a sharp knife. I'll give you kind of a look here. And so it's definitely a sharp knife. I didn't touch it up. It came like this. I mean, that's how sharp it was right out of the box. So it's definitely a sharp knife. I just don't know about, neck carry, for one. It's, if you needed something and you had to have a fixed blade, It has all these different grommet holes on here. It has 4. Honestly, I would probably do this belt carry somehow. I would run paracord through. I don't know exactly how you do it. Maybe you'd run one through here and one through this top loop and then a piece of paracord right there, so you could run your belt right through it and carry it like that. But this sheath, it's kind of hard to tell via pictures on like Amazon and whatnot, and especially on this camera. But this sheath is crap. It is, I mean, it's got like the durability of a cinnamon graham cracker. It's just junk. I mean, you can hear it. It's just cheap, junky plastic. And if I took this pommel and just hit it firmly enough, I feel like this thing would crumble apart and just be junk. It sucks. Also, to that nature, I mean, to that extent, you got to also say that this knife cost me $20. So I bought it $20 online. I can't really argue with the sheath because of that fact, but if I, you know, my plans for this knife is I'm going to take these scales off and cut holes in here, just so, you know, it decreases some of that weight. I'm probably going to buy a Kydex sheath for it. I'm going to, you know, take it out in the woods and beat on it first and see if it's worth the money that I'm going to spend towards buying a Kydex sheath, which is probably going to run me $30 or $40, which would, you know, nearly double the price of the knife. But everything minus the sheath and the weight, I love about this knife. It's fantastic. This would be a great neck knife, and I can tell you right now, if this came with Kydex and these were skeletonized, and there's a lot of what ifs, and the steel was a little bit higher quality, maybe like a AWES 8 or, you know, something a little bit nicer. If this was in S30V steel, this was a good sheet, this would probably be a $140 knife, just because of, not even just because of the steel, just because the design is fantastic. It feels awesome. I'm telling you straight up, like, this knife is great. It really is. Like, I love how the feel, I love the design, I love the look of it. I mean, there's a lot of what ifs to make it a more expensive knife, and yeah, you're getting a discount here at $20 a pop, but I mean, it feels awesome. I can't complain about much on this thing. Just the weight is so heavy, and I guess, you know, if you needed to feel like it wasn't going to fall apart on you, that'd be fine. You know, the weight might not bother some people, but I just like a lighter knife, especially in a neck knife, because when you put it in the sheath, it's flimsy at best. I mean, this is just me. I'm walking, and then you just shake it. And you hear the rattle, but also, like, the knife is going to fall out of here. It does it all the time on me, because of that back end weight. And if I could just, yeah, see? It just flung right out. I was just holding it and just flung right out. And that's because there's so much weight on that back end, like I was showing you. See? Wants to fall off on my finger. Holding it at the middle point, and the back end wants to fall off. So yeah, it's heavy, but overall, yes, I probably would buy this knife again, just because I do love the design. And at $20, you really can't argue with that. But yeah, I mean, I gave you my qualms there. I told you how I feel about it. It's a good size knife. Let's see here. What are we looking at? We are looking at just shy of 7 inches. So just shy of 7 inches in full length, about 3 1/4 inch of blade. So I mean, yeah, it's got a lot of benefits to it. I'm not real crazy about, you know, the negatives I told you of. What else can I say about it? I mean, you could go out and spend an extra $20 and buy a Condor bush loader, which is a much better option because the steel itself is, you know, it has that combustible element to it, so you could strike, you know, flint on it and still get sparks. But if you needed just like a cheap everyday carry neck knife and you wanted a fixed blade as opposed to a folding knife, this one's definitely a good way to go. Just like I said, I would take it to a knife place and see if they can do something with taking the scales off and making it lighter, because other than that, really don't have a lot of complaints to it. You saw how sharp it is. Bam! This thing is a razor. You could probably shave your face with this knife. Either way, let me know what you think. Comment, like, subscribe. Later.